A very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice channel. Thank you all for joining me. You may have seen the ticker tape along the bottom of the screen there. Pablo Fornals, I've been waiting. I was so tempted. I was told earlier today about this news, and I really wanted to sort of put it on the main show. But the reason why I'm late is because I was waiting to get permission, and I got it. So Pablo Fornals has signed a new contract at West Ham United after much speculation as to what may happen with quite a few players who are coming to the end of their contracts. This is the first of maybe many of the players who are in the last 6-7 months of their contracts potentially signing new ones. It's an extension of 1 year. That's all I know at this moment in time. What happens thereafter, I don't know. But I think it's good news. All right. A lot of fans are saying, and even I've alluded to over the past sort of season or so, that maybe Fornals isn't just doesn't quite have it in the way that he did for West Ham. But he has proved his worth over time, hasn't he? He scored some vital goals. He's probably, I think, apart from Fabianski, the last player standing under the Pellegrini era. I might be wrong, but correct me if I am wrong. But and he had to really win over David Moyes, didn't he? When David Moyes came in, he had to really fight for his place, and he did that. Fornals, he did that over the time that David Moyes has been in charge, and he's been absolutely vital. I mean, who would forget the semi-final goal that he scored in the Europa Conference League away from home last season against Alkmaar to get us to the final? He has been an absolutely crucial member of the squad, and in a roundabout sort of way, I'm actually quite pleased for him. I hope that will put a smile back on his face. I hope that will sort of gee him up and get him to, play with the smile that he's always had on his face, because he's a decent player, Pablo Fornals. There's no denying it. Got shadows all around, and I don't know why. There's no denying it. So I'm pleased. So the breaking news, Pablo Fornals has signed a 1-year extension on his contract, so he will be with us next season in this. Who knows who's sanctioned that? We still don't really know what's going on with regards to West Ham and manager next season, because one would argue we're waiting for the Tim Steidten project to happen. Maybe Tim Steidten has gone to Fornals and said, I want you to be part of it. I still think you're an important member of the team, regardless of who will be manager next season. And maybe that's what's happened. Or maybe David Moyes has said, Pablo, you deserve an extension of your contract, so let's get it done. Whoever's going to be in charge next season, clearly they believe that Pablo Fornals should continue to be part of the West Ham project. So I'm pleased. I hope it's going to be, he's getting more game time. He played against TSC last week. He played against, he came on for 30 seconds against Crystal Palace at the weekend. But let's hope that now he continues to sort of get more game time. I'm pleased for him. So good luck to him. I'm very happy for him. Let's go into your chat and say hello to everybody before I go into the show. And please do tell me how my the sound. Hang on, let me just check my settings that I've got the right audio on. I've got the right audio on. So please do let me know how it sounds. Good evening to you, Hustle Crow. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Thank heavens for Kudus. Yes, absolutely. Great goal that he scored at the weekend. Montana, I'm really tired. Good evening to you, mate. I'm really tired of Moyes. Slept on yesterday's results. It feels even worse. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the review I did, because I got a lot of feedback saying, Stel, what game were you watching? And I listened to my review again, and then I was trying to get the game. It's difficult to get a whole game once it's been played on any stream. But I kind of watched it as much as I could, the extended highlights, etc. And I just wonder what it was I said. I remember saying that I think it was an improvement on the previous performances, on the games, the performances against Nottingham Forest and Burnley and TSC. I didn't necessarily say I walked away really happy. I think a lot of people disagreed with me saying something like it was a bit end to end, and it was. But I totally get end to end, but no end products. But I'm going to talk about the game later on. Usual, good evening to you. I support the club till the bitter end, but Moyes has taken the enjoyment out of it for me. It's verging on anti-football. Good evening to you, Kent. I hope you're well, mate. Moyes out, apart from the goal, where we moved the ball quickly. Everything yesterday was too pedestrian. There was no speed to the play. We struggled to unlock a resolute Crystal Palace. And yeah, I get that. But you've got to remember, when a team comes out to defend, that makes it more difficult. And I kind of talked about, what's going wrong. Is it tactics? Is it players? Is it the fringe players that are not getting game time, who are not really doing it? What is it about West Ham United? Now, my theory is that I think we should just revert to the long ball. That diagonal ball really worked for us for the goal. Which came from James Ward-Prowse. We know Agurd's got a sweet left foot, and maybe he should be smashing it across diagonally, and we should just maybe go route one. But route one, you're going to go, oh, that's really boring. But route one, it can be interesting. It can be good. Against Brighton, really, it was good. Against the first goal, the goal that we scored against Palace was also good. So maybe route one isn't as boring as made people think. Why do I have shadows? I don't know. Anyway, sorry about the shadows. I don't know what's going on. I know why I have shadows. Now, that may not be as bad. It's still bad, but not as bad. You might not notice it, but I definitely do. Kent again. If we want to be a top side, we must put teams like Crystal Palace away. We hit them with the one blow. We should have gone in for the kill, but we didn't, and that's going to be our downfall. That's a good point. Good evening, Anthony. I hope you're well. West Ham supporters moan. If we beat Man City 10-0, you would still have something to moan about. Why don't you go the real culprits, the players once they're the ones that play? Well, here's the interesting thing, isn't it? When you hear David Moyes talking in his post-match press conferences, he talks about, he doesn't understand why the team aren't going for it, etc., etc. He doesn't, he wants to be more attack-minded and so on and so forth. So what is it that that they're being told, and what is it that they're not executing? I don't really. Either Moyes is sort of sitting there lying to us in the press conferences and just pretending that he wants us to be more attack-minded, or the players are just not doing what's been asked. I don't know. It's a real conundrum. Good evening to you, Epic. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Flameur. Do forgive me. I do try and get through as many comments as possible, but I will have to skip some to make sure I'm getting everyone involved. Flameur, good evening to you. Moyes has divided our fan base at the maximum. A change must be made sooner rather than later. It's an interesting though, Flameur, because I've been really thinking about this. I've got to be careful what I say and how I say it, because we, over the past few years, maybe in the past sort of 6-7 years or so, we've always found something to be unhappy about. It's about the board. It's about the move, the stadium move. Now it's about David Moyes. What happens, for argument's sake? I'm playing devil's advocate. What happens, for argument's sake, if David Moyes does go at the end of the season? I actually do think he will go at the end of the season, and we get another manager in, but it doesn't work out. What then? Do we then turn around and say, oh, well, it's the board at fault for recruiting the wrong manager? Do we say it's Tim Steidten at fault for getting in the wrong manager? Do we say, the manager's rubbish? We know we haven't stepped up from Moyes. What would it be? I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate and I'm asking the question because, and I'm not advocating, I'm not saying we should keep David Moyes. I think I understand it. I understand what people are saying about Moyes and about, the tactics, etc. And I think we kind of, when you look at the way we play, I think the reason why there's not a lot of movement is because we kind of play zonally. You see players always in the same, they're almost told, don't go out of position. Kudus stay out on the right. Other players, Paqueta, stay out on the left, etc., etc. It's almost like we play zonally from back to front. I don't know. Good evening to you, Mikey. I hope you're well. Come on, be nice to each other. It's all on the manager, who's supposed to be motivating the players and playing them in their correct positions, which Moyes has got no brains to do. Well, here's a question. Again, another question. We talk about playing players in the rightful positions, and I actually totally agree with that. I don't have an issue with that. I totally agree that when you put a player out of position, it can maybe impact on their game. We've got two players that play out on the right, Kudus and Bowen. And now, in order to accommodate both of them, what do you do there? You know, because their ideal positions are out on the right. Now, there's a lot of people that saying, well, Kudus is better in the middle. I'm not so sure. He plays for Ghana out on the right. He played for Ajax out on the right. In fact, he played most of his career out on the right. He also can play in the middle, either up front or like a number 10. So he can play that position. Maybe we ought to try keep Bowen out on the right, and maybe try Kudus in the middle and see how that works out. It's interesting on Sunday that Moyes put Kudus out on the left, and it was like, mate, he's never played that position. You know, why put him there? And he put Paqueta in the middle, and I'm like, why don't you try Kudus in the middle and keep it? But then you've got the problem of you've got Paqueta out left, that's not his best position. What we need definitely in the summer transfer window is a proper left winger, you know, in order to fill that gap. Imagine then having Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta maybe together in the middle, a left winger and a striker that can feed all of that. Good evening to you, James. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Flameur again. Oops, let's get it up. I'm not the first to say, mate, but it's taken the joy out of the game we love and blaming the fans again. I didn't like that thing about... I listened to that interview and what Moyes said. I'm not so sure he was really blaming the fans. I know that's the way it was interpreted. I think, and I know I don't like it, I think it's a lot about trying to get an atmosphere at a Sunday afternoon game. It's turgid. You know, almost every Sunday afternoon game we played, whatever time it's been, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever, you know, it's been quite lackluster in terms of, you know, trying to build up a reward. And I get it. If you've got something to cheer about on the pitch, then you're going to build up you're going to get the fan base going. And I understand that relationship, but there's nothing worse in my mind than a 1 o'clock or a 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon kickoff. You know, people are a little bit flat anyway, you know, and it's just like, I'd rather they put more games on Sunday evenings, like about 4, 5 o'clock, something like that. I think we'd get a much, much better atmosphere from that. So I think Moyes has been, you know, I don't think he meant what people think he said, but I could be wrong. Let's scroll down. Good evening, Peter. I hope you're well. David Moyes, the most successful manager. The club has for a long while been, be very careful what you wish for. And that is true. The stats don't lie. It doesn't matter what we think. You know, the stats do not lie. He has been the most successful manager to date. So it's an interesting conundrum, isn't it? Good evening to you, Debbie and Mark. Good evening, Mark. Evening, everyone. It's discussing how Moyes only subbed on Fornals, and that sub being in the 89th minute. Could have brought on Mubama and Cornet to liven up the attack. Could have, though, what a player. I 100% agree with that as well. You know, it was absolutely frustrating that we were standing there. We're standing there with my mates watching it, and we're going, no, if he's going to do a sub, who would he bring off? Because it wasn't really clear who you would actually bring off. You wouldn't have brought, ironically, I said, well, the one player I would have brought off was Paqueta. His play acting. Look, we know we love him. We know he can pull a master stroke and all that. But there are times when you just go, when he went down flat on his back and he stayed down there for God knows how long, I was actually shouting, mate, get up. You know, because it was almost a little bit embarrassing. It's like, you know, if you were really knocked out, my mate, poor went, I hope he's really knocked out, so he's properly down. Like, you know, you don't want to wish that or think that. But it was a little bit, and ironically, I said, if there's anyone I'd probably take off, it'd be Paqueta and bring someone else on. Now, I don't understand why he didn't bring Cornet on. Cornet would have given us the sort of the pace that we needed. Stick him out wide, put Kudus in the middle or whatever, or even put Cornet. Cornet can actually play either flank. You know, if you wanted someone on the left to have a bit of pace, instead of putting Kudus there, why not bring Cornet on? And I didn't understand that. And the 89th minute sub of Fornals was a little bit weird as well. You know, he did have options, and someone said apparently that he said I didn't have options on the bench. I don't know if he actually said that, but again, you know, put in the comments if he did say that. I'd be very surprised he said that, but he did have options. He had Cornet, he had Mubama, and he could have brought Fornals on a little bit earlier as well. Please, people, be nice, please. I'm looking at the comments. I'm not going to put them up, but you know, we all have different views. Mikey and Anthony. We all have different views, but please be, genteel with each other. Good evening, Andy. I hope you're well. Mikey, sadly, the Moyes in crowd have been moised and accept medicine football. The Moyes out fan base want change and want entertaining, decent football to watch. We have the players. Moyes out. Let's scroll down. I hope you've all calmed down. Good evening, Chris. I hope you're well. Just be nice to each other. Agree to disagree. I get that. Great to have your views, but don't have a go at each other. That's all. Good evening, Chris. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Mr. Rupert, how are you, mate? Can you for once start on time? Well, I had the breaking news, so I had to delay it because I had to update the video and I had to update the thumbnail as well. You thank me for it. Go on, thank me for it. I know it takes 12 hours for your beauty treatment to kick in, but rushing it all in the last 11 hours. Fine. See you Sunday. Definitely see you Sunday, mates. Clive, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mates. I saw a text message come up, but I didn't have time to read it. So I don't know what it said, but whatever it was, thanks. Peter, these days, David Moyes out supporters want the most successful. These David Moyes out supporters want the most successful manager this club has had in years. What do you expect to get in place of him with the owners we have got? It's interesting because I've just asked the question, haven't I? If Moyes leaves, I think he will leave at the end of the season. What kind of, we've now got Tim Steidten, who apparently is going to look at bringing in the right sort of manager. But what if it goes wrong? What then? Who do we then blame? Not that I'm saying it's a blame game, but then what happens thereafter? Obsidian, good evening to you. To be fair, we have Tim Steidten now, so hopefully the next manager isn't a Sully pick. I totally agree with that. I think it will be a Steidten pick. Good luck, Tim. Not a lot on your shoulders, eh? Mark, evening, Stella and chat. I love watching Mohammed Kudus. What a great player. He's fantastic. Steve Brown, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Acid, good evening to you. I was as bored as anyone yesterday, but we did lose to Palace twice last season. You could say this is progress. I know crumbs of comfort, but at least we didn't get turned over. Good evening, Galispera to you, Keith. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Good evening, Martin. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining as well. James, I must admit, it is good to see the whiners getting triggered by Moyes, though. They might, come on, be nice. Be nice. Paul, good evening to you. That game was there for the taking. Too little, too late. Can't always nick it at the end. That I agree. And isn't it weird? We almost did nick it at the end. The only problem is the person that wasn't on the end of that cross was Soucek. If Soucek was there, he would have just stuck his long foot out rather than Bowen having to, pass it back to the keeper. Good evening, Vinay. I hope you're well, mate. What did the Moyes say about the fans? Apparently the comment was that there wasn't an atmosphere at the stadium. But I'm not so sure that he was alluding to the fans. I don't know. To me, I can't get myself going. I just only got there in time, let alone going and getting myself psyched up and ready for the game, even though it was 2:00 in the afternoon. Oh, yeah, I know, I'm lazy. There you go. Steve, good evening to you, and I hope you're well. Let's not kid ourselves that yesterday was crap. The last 3 games, the poorest I've ever seen in my 52 years of supporting West Ham. Call that football. Can't wait for Moyes to go. And the irony is, all I said in my review was, I didn't say, oh, it was great football. I didn't allude to that. Didn't mean that. But what I said was, I thought the game played. Yeah, it was a missed opportunity. But I thought the game played was much better than the last 3 performances. But maybe I said it in the wrong way. I don't know. Good evening, Aaron. I hope you're well. Moyes out for me. I won't be going back there till he's gone. My boy got bored and started moaning and wanted to go home. Can't say I blame the football. Blame him. Football's pathetic. Complete waste of money. Good evening to you, Fred. I hope you're well. Come on, Stel. I'm here. Who else have we got? Good evening to you, Irons Lady. Pedestrian and boring and no desire to kill off teams. Fans will soon give up paying hard-earned corn to watch that crap every week. Vinay, the midfield looks like 4 strangers who have never played together. Now, we've got to remember that we had a couple of injuries. Let me get this back up. We had a couple of injuries and we had several players who were ill. Now, Alvarez, I know Alvarez didn't have the best game in the world, but he had a virus. And I wonder if he was the one that caught the virus the worst, because he kind of looked a bit of a shadow of himself, a bit like the shadows I've got all around here. I've got lights all over me. God knows why I got shadows. But anyway, a bit like, Alvarez, I think maybe was a bit of a shadow of himself. And we've got to remember, Kudus will look good. Bowen just came back from an injury. I don't know if he was fully match fit himself. Soufal, yeah, he came back from a virus as well. But I think Alvarez suffered the most, and he did look a bit out of sorts. Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, James. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Who else have we got? Mark, I just love seeing Kudus on the ball. Really strong and always looking to go forward. Liked him on the left too at the end of the game. I think it was interesting seeing him on the left, but it's not his favourite position. James, definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing. There's the cat. That's Sushi. Good evening, Sushi. Say hello to the audience. Don't knock everything down. Don't knock everything down. Is doing the same thing but expecting different results. Aaron, he might be our most successful manager, but he's also something that can be useful. Paul, sideways and backwards. If Dino plays the ball forwards, they don't score. What a weird. I don't understand. What was he doing? He even did it without looking. You know, he passed the ball back without even looking. It was a weird ball to give away, a weird goal to give away. Really disappointing. Oh, man, I hope you're well, mate. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, Bill. Good evening, all. Looking forward to Stell's take on the recent game. Stel, the voice of reason. I'm trying to be. I didn't get slated, and I thank you for that, actually. When I did the review yesterday and I put it out, a lot of people disagree with me, but I like the way that you all reasoned with me, you know, and I really respect that and thank you for that, because a lot of people, I think about 90% of the people that watched the review turned around and said, I don't know what you were watching. They were quite polite and gave their opinions, and I respect that, so thank you for that. So I don't know if I'm the voice of reason, Bill, because sometimes it looks like I get it wrong too, probably all the time. Steve, no way is Bowen a striker. I disagree on him. Playing that role was struggling in most games. I don't know, because we've seen him play well in that role. I just think he maybe wasn't 100% fit to fully give that role what it deserved yesterday. Andy, evening, always late, mate, but good reason. You know, for those of you who joined late, the breaking news is that Pablo Fornals has signed a 1-year extension on his contract. So he's going to be with us for next season. Where whoever made that decision, like I said earlier, whether it's David Moyes staying, whether it's Tim Steidten telling him to stay or whatever, that's the breaking news. Vinay, the Hollywood strike is over. Overtime for Moyes to restart his movie career as a dinosaur extra. Good evening, Montana. Stel, I hope you've got news on our search for a new manager. My head is really done in. They really won't be any talk about. There'll be a lot of speculation. There has already been a lot of speculation as who the manager may be, but I guarantee you. Look, I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought that David Moyes might even go by January or before January, before the January transfer window opened. So it gave an opportunity for any new manager to come in and pick the players that he wanted. I'm not so sure anymore. In fact, I'm pretty sure that ain't going to happen. And the board have already come out and said, you know, we're not going to talk about the manager's future, etc. We're all quite calm about it. We'll be talking about it nearer the end of the season. And I'm pretty certain that that's what the board are going to do. They're not going to talk about any new manager until much later on in the season. You may not even hear anything until the season's over. Do I think Moyes is going to stay? No, I actually don't think he will. I don't think he's going to stay, but anything can happen, because what happens if we win another trophy? What happens if we qualify for Europe again? You know, there's all these conundrums that you've got to consider, you know, and I just don't think we're going to hear. There'll be a lot of rumours, Montana. There'll be a lot of rumours, but my suggestion to you and everybody else is take them with a pinch of salt for now. Because we probably won't hear of, and I bet you will be a manager that none of us have really thought of. Tim Stein is going to come up, and I know we all want out Alonso. Alonso's not coming to West Ham United. With the greatest of respect to us, he's not coming to West Ham United. If anywhere, you know, if he's really going to go for a big job, it could be to Real Madrid, as a lot of people think. It could even be, how long's Klopp got left? I mean, I know he's doing well again, but what about Liverpool? Maybe he might go somewhere like that. I'd love him to come to West Ham, but I'm not so sure it really happened. Good evening, James. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Mikey, would absolutely love for Fornals to sign new contract. Be true. It's true. I've just said it. So it's breaking news. I've just, well, not breaking. Well, I'm sure all the other channels are doing it at the moment as well. But I was told earlier tonight, and I said, can I use it? And I went, and I was told no. And then about 5 minutes before I was going to come on, I was told, yeah, you can go with it. It's a 1-year extension. So there you go. He has signed a new contract. Aaron, he signed because he's been told Moyes is done. Roll on the end of the Moyes era. What if it was David Moyes? What if it's David Moyes that said, Pablo, I'm staying. So are you, mate. What then? Good evening, Andy. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Good evening, Daniela. I hope you're well. Good news about the Spanish word. I really hope that really revives him, and I really hope we see a bit more of him than just 2 seconds at the end of a game. Montana, new contract for Fornals. Then that tells you Tim likes the core players, but Moyes is either leaving or also getting an extension too. This is it. We don't know, do we? We do not know. Be nice. Stel, are you selling that top as channel merchandise? Well, I don't have any merchandise. Would I even? I don't know. Should I? It'll cost a lot of money to do it. And then if only you buy it, then I'll have to charge you about 150 quid for it. If that's a deal, Vinay, I'll get you one with a West Ham week West Ham voice logo on it. Good evening, Lee. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Lee. Hit the like button, subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear so far. It will get worse, so don't worry. David, there's no way Fornals will sign a new contract unless a new manager is on the horizon. See, this is it. We really don't know. We really don't know what's going on here. And it could actually be it, David. It could be that Tim has told him, Pablo, no problem at all. Moyes is going at the end of the season, signing a new contract, mate, because you're going to be core part of the team next season. Andy, a very disappointing result yesterday. Really have to win your home games, especially the low. I agree, to be honest with Andy. It was an opportunity missed. I don't know why we didn't push on after we scored the goal. We looked good for it as well. Obsidian, bloody hell, must have proved Moyes is definitely going. Written in blood. We don't know, do we? Steve, I fear a beating at Spurs. I don't. I'm going, and we're going to win. And we're going to. We'll beat them on Thursday. I fear a beating at Spurs. We are crap. How we are ninth, playing the way we are at the moment is beyond me. Well, here's the irony, isn't it? Because even though we're ninth, we're actually winning games. We're not losing games. This is the biggest irony of it all. But I'm going to talk about that a little later on. Brendan, April Fool? No, mate. I was given the news earlier today, and it's confirmed. David, any reason why Venable's tribute was done before the players arrived on the pitch? That I don't know, to be quite honest with you, David. No, unfortunately, I got there late, so I don't know why that was done well before. Mikey, I think Tim has sanctioned this. It could well be. It could well be. We all like Fornals, don't we? We all like Pablo. We all know he's been a class player for us. He just needs to get that shine back in his game. And maybe it is because David Moyes is leaving and Tim Steiden has said, I want you to stay another season. Bill, I'm pleased Fornals is signed. He has West Ham in his heart. Absolutely agree. Chris, Fornals is so underrated. Can't understand why the fella can't get a game. I agree with that as well. I think he is a decent player. I'd like to see more of him, but then I'd like to see more of Cornet as well. You know, I've been singing his praises for the last 3 days, especially with the cameo role that he played against TSC last Thursday. I think, but you know, and a lot of people are speculating why Cornet's not playing, and I've tried to explain that. I'm not sure if I've done it really well, but as you know, Cornet suffered a really major injury last season, and from what I understood, we're being careful in how we're using Cornet. Not sure if he can actually last the whole game. That's the big concern. And if he picks up that injury again, it could be career threatening. But then, if you're at that stage in your career, what next? You know, you can't live on tenterhooks all the time. Andy, you're a bit rich digging out of jail. Come on, people. I did say earlier, please, do be nice to each other. By all means, have a debate. Absolutely no problem with that. But don't pick each other out. That's not what the show is about. Mikey, Steve Tiley's saying a 4-0 drop. It won't happen. We're going to beat Spurs on Thursday. You wait and see. Moyes ball. Everyone will be going, that was a Moyes masterclass. Well, I'm dreaming, but then I always dream. Black Country, good evening to you. I hope Moyes doesn't sign a 1-year extension. You go. You never know. Alan, good evening to you. If Pablo is signed, to me, that means Moyes won't be here. It could be that. It could be that. Brendan, the new contract for Fornals is 2 minutes per game. I'll come to the under-21s in a moment, Daniela, because they're, oh, are you going, Sushi? You're not happy? No, well, I can't give you a belly rub because I'm live. I sound absolute. Thank God for that, because the sound has been doing my head in over the past few weeks. Sushi, don't knock that down, please. Because the sound, I've been messing around with the sound trying to get it right. So I'm really, really pleased. Audio great, sound is good, sounding good. Thank you, much appreciated. Good evening, Delton. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining, much appreciated. James. We created very little on the left wing against Palace. What was that experiment by Moyes in the 80th minute? Where was Cornet? Kudus is a great player. Feel sorry his work goes to waste. Yeah, I didn't understand it. You want a left winger? Bring Cornet on. And, he's natural. You let him play on that left wing if that's what you wanted. Bill, Moyes could be in charge as coach, not manager, and he will be a changed man. Flamer, Stel, are you Moyes too? No, you know what I've been like about Moyes. In all honesty, Flamer, for several years we've been having this discussion now. I was very much Moyes in when he first second time round he came. He stabilised us and all that sort of stuff, and I thought he did really well. And you know the history. And then last season I kind of like teetered, especially around about Christmas time, January time, just after the World Cup, and I thought, my God, things haven't changed. I thought maybe we'd see something different after the World Cup, going into January. And I thought, oh, here we go. It's not looking great. And I teetered at that time. And then at the end of the season, I went, okay, restart. We won a trophy. We stayed in the Premier League. Let's see what happens this season. And I won't lie, I don't enjoy the football. There are times when I go, I've got people like Wiggy, the shirt, who stands next to me moaning all through the game, going, oh, I don't want to come to this shit anymore, blah, 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 paying good money. And I get it. And there are times when I'm going, my God, it is quite turgid, but the early start of the season, I've got to be honest with you, when we beat the likes of Chelsea and we beat the likes of Brighton, etc., people were moaning at the time, oh, we don't have enough possession. But at the time, it's like, who gives a fuck? We're actually winning games. And the counter-attacking football we were playing was actually not that bad. It was okay. All right, you're absorbing a lot of pressure and you could get done by that, but I was kind of enjoying it. And then we went through the October period. We don't think we won a game, did we? And then we came out of that and I knew what was going to happen. I knew David Moyes, all of a sudden, before that, we had a 4-1-4-1 formation where Alvarez was just in front of the back four. And then we went through that patch in October. And I knew David Moyes would revert back to a 4-2-3-1, a bit more defensive. Ward-Prowse going as one of those two becomes ineffective, further back in the pitch. And it was like, oh, it's going to get it. And I'm not actually surprised. It's become a little bit boring. And the irony is it's become a little bit boring, but we've been winning games in the last, 5 games, 6 games. I think we won 5 and drawn 1. It ain't pretty to watch. I know that. It ain't pretty to watch, but it's getting results. Now, do I want to have results over substance? That's a massive conundrum again that people have got to answer. What is it that we want? Yes, of course we want to be entertained. I'm not denying that. Absolutely. But, do we get entertained at the expense of losing games? That's a possibility, because every time Moyes tries to be a bit expansive on the pitch, we end up conceding, and I don't get that. He's a defensive-minded manager. I don't get why he hasn't sorted out the defense. So even though we do break out, if we do go back to a 4-1-4-1, that should be enough to keep us solid. I think we've only had 1 clean sheet in the Premier League so far this season. It's weird, really surprising. Steve again, Stel, you've been Moyes. Stel, what drugs are you on, etc. Good evening to you, Matt. I hope you're well. Much appreciate, Stel, for your opinion the other day. Top man, always. You give me your opinions, I'll reply, and I'll do the best I can. Thank you. Ballon. I have been Moyes as well. Peacads. Good evening to you. West Ham is going to have trouble when they have over 50. Well, the irony is we had over 50% possession on Sunday. Who else have we got here? Let's scroll down a bit and see if we can catch up. How far behind? Fucking hell. I'm about half an hour behind. Mark, not sure about Route 1 with little Jared leading the line still, But I think, it's that sort of, I think it can be done. I think we can do it that way. Not when I say route one, I don't mean about, the way we do it with Antonio and go straight down the middle. I'm talking about diagonal balls. Get the ball diagonally and then have the players running onto it. A bit like the way Kudus scored the goal against Palace, a bit like Bowen scored the goal against Brighton. It can be done. Do I want it? No, of course I don't. Of course I'd rather play football on the floor and get the ball moving quicker. And I said that, I think, in last week's show. One of the things that we're suffering with is we have lack of pace. I don't get it. We have a big lack of pace. And when we're not doing it with the players on the pitch, then we do have players like Cornet who can come on and give a bit more pace to the game. Chris, route one in winning games or playing football and not winning? I know which I would prefer. Which, because I'm not going to second guess you. Keith, no problem with the shadows, just as long as Cliff... Delton, don't understand Moyes' post-match comments because he has impeded safety first, negativity in players, so it's not easy to shake off. Yeah, good point. Obsidian, come on, Stel. $500 million spent on play route one. Look. I'm not advocating it. Don't get me wrong. But it can be exciting. Like I alluded to in the game against Brighton and the first goal that we scored. But I agree. I'm not saying that that's what we should do, going back to the Sam Allardyce era. But if we can't get through teams, and I actually said this in the review, I think, on the TSC game, if we're trying to play football and we keep passing it sideways, backwards, and we're not getting through, then why not do route one every now and again? Why wait to the 80th minute when we're a goal behind or we need a goal to win a game or whatever? You don't have to do it all the time, but mix it. If we're trying to play through a team, we're not getting through, then launch it every now and again. Doesn't hurt. Even the best teams in the world do that sometimes. Matt has got a question to everyone. Are we still massive? Sadly, I feel average after that Palace game. Let's scroll down. Flimmer spoke to lots of people. A majority will not attend the game until he's gone. The start was on Sunday, empty seats. Brendan, I've no problem with route one. Better than the nonsense of playing out from the back, sideways and backwards again, leading to mistakes. Okay, you've alluded to it better than I have. That's what I mean. I'm not saying every single time we get the ball, off it goes, launch it. But if we can't play through them when we've tried and we end up playing it backwards and sideways, etc., then why not go route one? Andy, Moyes is gaslighting us still, plain and simple. Ballon, to Anthony, yes, blame the players and then Moyes doesn't drop any of the favourites who are underperforming. That is annoying. Moyes is going back to what he did a couple of seasons ago when we're in the Europa League then as well, where he was only using certain players, not utilising the squad better in Premier League games, and then it wore us down. Now, it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see if he makes the same mistake in the transfer window. Now, the good thing is we got Tim Steiden there, haven't we? So Steiden will have a say in what happens in the transfer window as well. So I don't think we're going to go through the January transfer window not signing players like we did 2 years ago. I think we will. May only be one player, but it's fine. So long as we get something in that will give us something a bit different, that's all fine. People are thinking we're going to get a striker. I'd like to, but do you know what? Ironically, I'd rather get a left winger at this moment in time than a striker, because it will just give us something a bit different going forward. Conan, good evening to you, mate. Despite all we've seen, DM still hobbles Paqueta and Bowen, our only proven striker and top goal scorer against a team without their two best players. Yet pundits are incensed that fans want Moyes out. Let's scroll down. Mikey, snails have quicker sex than we play football. Delton, I think Moyes is taking pressure off himself with his post-match comments. I think he's adding pressure, to be quite honest with you, or the way people are interpreting the comments that he's making. Fred, feeling a bit more chipper now. I know Pablo is staying. Moyes definitely gone. Tim won't get a dud. Yeah, it could be. Let's scroll. Let's get some more people in. I've got lots to talk about. I've already done 40 minutes. I haven't even started the show yet. Bill, you've caressed that like button gently. Please do hit or caress the like button and the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. But the bell notification only works if you subscribe to the channel. So please do that as well. Matt, if number 41 was in the current side, are we playing the same? And who's being dropped? If number 41 now, isn't it interesting that Moyes finally admitted what I was saying all last season and getting a bit slated for it, that with 41 in the side, it impacted on Thomas Souček. Now, everyone was saying to me, what are you going on about? Number 41 is a lot better than Souček, and we should be affording him whatever he wants to do, etc. It impacted on our game. I'd rather not have 41 in our team, to be quite honest with you, because I think we're doing okay without him. I think we spent the money wisely. Yes, the football is a little bit boring at the moment, but I think we are a more rounded team for it, to be really, really honest. And not just because of Souček, but look how many goals Souček scoring's on double figures this season already. Ralph, good evening to you. What have I missed? Reference Fab. He's signed Pablo. He's signing a new contract, 1 year extension, mate. Daniela, sorry to say, I think sometimes we fans can overreact at times to one-off games with the player and manager thinking of them a part of 3 games in a week. That is another thing we do have to consider. We do have to consider that we've got a lot of games coming up. I'm not saying that makes up for, poor performances, etc. But if we get through in a month, that was the first of 10 games throughout this month. The tail end of November and December. So, with TSC as well. So we've got another 8-9 games coming up this month. That's a lot of games to get through. But then, David Moyes, that's where you have to use your squad. Make sure you use them properly. Don't give them 3 seconds at the end of each game. Lawrence, good evening to you. They should install beds at the stadium till the end of the season. Hammers Mikey. We can't even play through the middle anymore. Always go wide. Just hoof it up to that right wing position. Welcome home, Allardyce football. It's not quite there yet, but we've got to be careful. We're not too close. We're not too far away from it. Cockney Reject, good evening to you, mate. Thank you for joining. I hope you're well. James, what we need to realise that the tone would be so different had Bowen not mistimed that last-minute header. Now, same old wine. Don't have a go at each other. Acid to Lawrence. Brilliant. They've always given the team Horlicks at halftime. Might as well tuck the fans up in bed too. Black Country. Still, you're making excuses for Moyes. Don't understand. I'm not making excuses. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting for a minute that I'm enjoying the football. Please don't misunderstand me. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him. But, if we can't play through the teams for whatever reason, through other teams, because they sit back or whatever, then we've got to look at alternatives. And why not intersperse it with a bit of route 1 every now and again? I'm not saying it should be route 1 full stop. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not making excuses for Moyes. Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, Pete. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Moyes is a fun sponge. Matt, a Moyes in fan tried to scrap with me on Sunday because I'm Moyes out. He tried to scrap with you. I'm glad I didn't have my boy with me. Some of our fans are acting lemon for no reason. Isn't it silly? I mean, can't get that bad, surely. It's interesting. On my way up to the game on Sunday, I was getting the overground, and a fellow West Ham fan was on. He went, train will be here in a minute. And we got chatting. And I asked him, I said, so what's your thoughts on Moyes, etc.? And he went, I don't know. I mean, he said, I get it. I get why people want him out. But he said, at the moment, I'm quite happy with how it is. And let's see what happens at the end of the season. So, it's not that I want Moyes in or Moyes out and making excuses for him. But when people get this far, when they want to have a scrap with you, that's a bit weird. I'm not making excuses. I am not. I'm just giving you my opinion. And I accept the fact that a lot of you don't have the same opinion. Ray, good evening to you. I hope you're well. That's why this show happens the way it happens, so you can have your opinions. Keith Broadway, good evening to you. Do you think the second goal should have stood? I'm sure it would have been given for others. Absolutely, 100% it should have stood, because he wasn't in the line of Johnson's sight. Johnson could see the ball, and Souček didn't touch it. He was a mile away from it. So I'm surprised it wasn't given. And we had a potential handball right at the death as well, because it looked very much like the player coming in to defend the ball. It looked like it hit his hand. Matt, Steve, tried to grab me, told me to jog on. No need power, especially with your own fan base. This is unbelievable. It's so sad that it's coming to this. We always seem to be divided about something. We shouldn't be. Mark, Evening to you, mate. Hope all is well. It's not only the tactics, it's the lack of rotation and unexplainable subs. That I 100% agree with you, totally. Black Country. Football is crap. It's boring. It's passed backwards, sideways, backwards, etc. With hoofball back for big hoofball from the back still. I've added enough of Moyes' tactics. Time for a change. It probably will be, but we're not getting it until the end of this season, unfortunately. Dexter, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. I agree with your analysis of the game yesterday. It wasn't the worst performance in the world, but by no means was it our best. Hope to bump into you again. Please say hello to me if you do see me again, mate. And this is what I've been trying to say. Don't get me wrong. Please don't misunderstand me when I wasn't cock-a-hoop about the performance, but what I said was it was better than what it has been in the past 3 games. Good evening, Stephen. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Monumental. Good evening to you. Yeah, take Paqueta off and move JWP forward. Anything, but I genuinely thought Paqueta wasn't at it in the game on Sunday. I know a lot of people will probably disagree because the thing with Paqueta is he could bring something out of nowhere, can't he? He can create something. I mean, look at the chance he created for Emerson at the end of the game. Fantastic ball in. It's pity Emerson didn't hook it right. Otherwise, that would have flown in. Aaron, he said he didn't think he had the players to change. Did he actually say that? Because I think that's outrageous if he said that, to be quite honest with you. Good evening, Victor. I hope you're well. A tactical change to Moyes is not changing the system. It's moving players around in the same system. All subs are like for like. That is the thing that is disappointing for me. You know, why? So that means he is playing zonally. He's playing a particular system and telling players not to sort of move out of that system. No wonder we're not moving freely. All right, I'm going to stop there for a minute. I will come back to your comments. What am I up to? Shall I try? Let me try and catch up, and then we can move on with the rest of the show. Billy Bob. On the plus side this year, under Moyes, Dross, I've cut down on my quantifying. He's putting me to sleep. Dexter again. Just adding to my original comments on subs. Surely Cornet would be really frustrated not featuring yesterday, given his important role in our goal last Thursday. Mbama also questionable decisions. Yeah, look. I talked about Mbama in the game against TSC, and I said, you know, I don't think he did that well. And people quite rightly said, well, he didn't get the service, and that was also right as well. But the thing about Mbama is what I didn't see in the game against TSC was what he was doing in the game against Nottingham Forest, trying to, you know, running, searching for the ball, going and putting pressure on the defenders, etc. He wasn't doing that. Maybe he was told not to do that. I don't know. But it was quite a different game for Mbama. So I wasn't picking on Mbama, you know, but I was just saying, like, he didn't play the same sort of game as he did when he came on, sorry, not Forest, against Burnley at the weekend. Ralph, if it goes wrong, it's on the manager. That's Steidham picks. I will give the new manager a season to rebuild as long as the football's entertaining. It might not be. It might have to be a bit turgid in order for that manager to get the players he wants in. Well, but, you know, I'm wrong. I could be wrong in that. Rick, good evening to you, mates. I'm glad I'm on the amitriptyline. Amitriptyline. It gets me through the bore fest of so-called football Moyes out. P-Gads. Kudus is a great talent. Moyes can't wait to turn him into a great defender. I hope you're well, Dodsey. Good to see you too, mate. Are you going on Thursday? If so, let me know, and we might catch up for a beer or something before the game. Bill, accepting the draw is an acceptance of not winning the game or doing anything to change the game to win it. I wasn't happy with getting a draw, but and it's not an acceptance of it. It was like, yeah, should have done better. Didn't take our chances. Mojo, good evening to you. DM is far too stubborn. Taking a long time for me to get Moyes out, but he's worn me down. Can't seem to adapt. I'm sure you'll be missed, though. Come on, you irons. Won't be missed, though. I'm sure you will be missed or won't be missed. Will he be missed? Well, we don't know until it happens, do we? Montana, let Moyes go. We hire a new manager. If it fails, we call him back to save us from relegation if we're strong. The return of the Messiah from the third time. Mikey, Moyes talking down to fans in the past, bad-mouthing the fans in the past, now treating us like mugs in his post-match interviews. Why on God's earth are fans still defending him for that alone? Like I said, That fence I'm sitting on has got splinters all over my ass. I tell you, Dodsey. If you want winning, exciting football, go and watch Brazil from the 1980s. If you want the same old West Ham, go to the London Stadium. It's the hope that gets you. That's why we keep coming back. That is so true. Bill, you sound like Cliff Richard moaning about shadows. I'll shut up about the shadows. They're monumental. We haven't ever killed a team off. It's always reactive, not proactive. That I agree. And it's annoying. Finn, didn't know Stell rescued Zouma's cat. Where's she gone? Oh, she's sleeping on. She got bored. She's bored of me. She's gone over to the other side and sleeping. Vino, we need Mbama's youthful exuberance, and Stell, don't invite Zouma for tea with your cat in the background. Barry, the most successful manager to bore us to death. You go. Keith, you name your cat Sushi. Not me. The other half did. The other cat's called Wasabi. So there you go. No wonder he's fucking hates you. Clive, just wait for Sushi to jump after a moth or something, taking everything in the background with her. Thank God she's gone to sleep. Mojo, you know Alvarez is a shadow when he doesn't get booked. That's so true. He didn't get booked at the weekend, did he? Irons Lady, the cat licking its bum is more watchable than us on the pitch. Billy Bob, did Zouma not play because of the captain's armbands being rainbow? No, I'll come to that in a moment. I'm sure you've all seen the story of why he didn't play. It's not good, actually. Lawrence, we must. What must the bench be thinking when Moyes plays a half-sick team? Good point. Daniela, but football not an entertainment guy. Football's not an entertainment. It's a sport, a competition. Only goal is to beat your opposition. That can be entertaining at times, depending on your point of view. That's an interesting comment, isn't it? It's a conundrum, isn't it? Because is football entertainment or is it a competition? Is it a sport, a competition? And the meaning of the sport is you got to get points, you got to win, and much to the detriment sometimes of entertainment. Do I like it? Not necessarily. Ian, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. You've smashed that like button. I hope you haven't smashed your screen. Let's scroll down. Let's try and catch up. Brendan, Ajax are our feeder club. Who is their manager? I don't know, but he's not doing that well at the moment. TS and his scarf will go after him probably. Aaron, not paying attention to start. I'm watching the cat one. Mojo, Bone doesn't seem a good fit in the middle of a team. Parks the bus better, cutting in at his feet. 1K, good evening to you. Love the cat, same for me. And whenever I'm talking on the phone, she's meowing. Yeah, they're not stupid, the cats, are they? Keith, of course it's supposed to be entertainment. Why would anyone pay to watch something that's not meant to be entertaining? Sport, theatre, cinema, it's entertaining. Yeah, good point. Good evening to you, Brataku. Good evening. Kudus is not better on the right. Well, I hate to disagree with that. He's only starting to play on the right for the first time in his career last year. He also played as a 10 most if Ghana. Now, I've done my research on... I'm no disrespect to you, Brataku, but when I looked at Kudus' stats, he seems to have been playing on the right a lot longer than just last season. It's kind of even the number of games he's played out on the right and the number of games he's played in the middle. But I agree with you. I think he's as effective in the middle as he can be on the right. But it would be good to see him play maybe in the middle a bit more. Rolly, good evening to you. Good news about Pablo. 2 Spanish lads sat next to me and my lad yesterday at the game. Came all the way from Valencia for the game. Apologised to them profusely, obviously. I like Pablo. Let's hope it gives him that boost that he needs. Bill, Steiden hacked his project around a number of clubs in the Premier League. The board bought it, and bit by bit, we're going to see changes. Unfortunately, it can't come fast enough, and it will change. That is why. I mean, if David Sullivan has done anything right in his career of owning West Ham United, it's bringing someone like Tim Steiden in. I said it many years ago. I said it repeatedly many years ago. What West Ham United have been good at under Sullivan, late David Gold, and Brady is they've been good at the business side of things. They know a good deal when they see it. and you can't deny that. Like it or not, it's true. The one thing that they've neglected over those years is the footballing side of things. Sullivan thinking that he's God's gift to the transfer window, and thinking that he can get a bargain and all that sort of stuff. Thank goodness, finally, he's done something really good and he's brought Tim Steidten in, because finally, we're going to probably see as much effort in the footballing side of things as we are going to see as we have seen in the business side of things. Now, I know you're going to think that's a bit weird. What are you talking about still? But you look at it. A lot of good business has been done. We don't like it in terms of moving to the stadium. We didn't like it. But business-wise, it's a good move. Come on, 3 million a year and all that sort of stuff. Business-wise, absolutely no-brainer. And all the other things that have gone with it. But on the footballing front, we've been shit at running the footballing side of our football club. So Tim Steidten coming in, thankfully, is going to be that change. Hopefully, it's going to be that change. And it will take time. We aren't going to see it happening overnight. And it will start from the January transfer window and then move on from there. And then probably in another season and a half, we'll probably see a very, very different type of West Ham United to what we have now. Andy, I know, Mikey, wouldn't it be nice? Scarles, Alford, Marshall, Earthy, Kadua, and sadly, while Moyes is here, we won't get a look. You know what? Out of those players, Marshall, probably, Earthy, I like Kadua, Scarles, yeah, Alford's quite good. Do you honestly think they will all come through? I doubt it. If we get 2 out of those 4 or 5, I think that would be great. Bill, the negativity can change quickly with a positive game against Spurs and a win against Fulham and beyond. Fremmer, good evening to you. That cat is looking at Teddy same way West Ham fans looking at Moyes. Keith, wow, 6.7 billion to watch more and more West Ham on TV. I'm lost. You need to explain that comment to me. They don't want Cornet going to the AFCON. No, they absolutely don't. Really worried about that. It depends on whether he's going to be picked because he's been dropped the last few games for Ivory Coast. So we don't even know if he's actually going to be picked. Chris, I hope you're right about Thursday, as I'm going around a friend who is a spud to watch the game. I don't want to have to give him a slap. Give him a slap anyway, even if we win. Neil, I didn't mean that. Neil, every transfer is a gamble. Every manager appointment is as well. I think Moyes has hit his limit. And if you can't move forward, you will start to go backwards. I would rather we took that gamble to improve. I think we'll get it. I think I'm pretty certain Moyes won't be here at the end of this season. Yanis, Diganis, Olagala, Moyes, and I hope you're Greek. Otherwise, you won't understand what I just said. Moyes' worst aspect is his personality, arrogant, narcissistic, and petulant. I agree. Can't lie. I do agree. He does things his way, doesn't he? Howard, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. I can't give you a belly rub. I'm live. Good evening, Stel. All I walked into is I can't. Oh, sorry. That was to the cat. I didn't know what you're talking about for a second. That was about half an hour ago. Montana, I have a feeling the new manager might be Carrick. I don't. I'm not so sure. I'd make an effort to get him. I like him. Would it be a tall order? But now that would be a gamble. That would be a gamble, wouldn't it? Ian, I heard the attendance is going to be increased if Moyes stays. We'll be playing at Loftus Road. Usual. As are West Ham on Sky Sports on Thursday? I actually don't know. Oh, there you go. Prime on Thursday it is. Anthony, usual suspect. No, we're on Amazon Prime. Let's scroll down. Black Country Stel on all fours. He's having his belly rub, squeezing his cat. Not on screen. Amaret, good evening to you. I know you said you were going to be a bit late. Thank you for joining. James, are we missing a leader on the pitch? Good question. Because Souček was captain at the weekend, and he is captain of his national team. There's not a pivot, is there? In terms of, is Zouma a kind of leader? I'm kind of not so sure that he is, to be quite honest with you. Souček, I don't think Souček is really the right sort of leader for West Ham. He might be good for the Czech Republic, but not so sure. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. What do you guys think? Aaron, one clean sheet for what you just called a defensive manager. It's poor. I don't disagree. I think it really is. One clean sheet in in the Premier League, and I think maybe 1 clean sheet in Europa League as well. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got? Finn. Players need a team bonding evening at one of Dodsy's favourite venues. Dodsy, what's one of your favourite venues? David, thoughts are with Zouma and his family after his house was burgled. Absolute scumbags whoever did this. It's the reason he didn't play yesterday. Yeah, so you did read that. Let's go into that because I've got quite a bit of news. I'll get to that as well in a moment. So a bit of a roundup quickly. Now, no women's football. They're all on an international break. But 3 Japanese players who play for West Ham were in a friendly against Brazil, which they beat 2-0. So well done to them. Now, let me get my script up because I'll tell you what. The academy, the under-21s and the under-18s are absolutely smashing it at the moment. Last week, the under-21s played Olympique Lyonnais in the Premier League International Cup at Chigwell. That was last Tuesday. And they left it very late. They were 1-0 down. There was a penalty on the 88th minute for Lyon, which they converted. But despite going a goal down, George Earthy smashed the ball in the net right at the death. And then just 3 days later, they're back in action again when they were playing Nottingham Forest in the under-21s Premier League 2 division. They continued their impressive form with a 3-1 win over Nottingham Forest. Thoroughly impressive attacking display. It was their sixth league victory of the season. Patrick Kelly got the opener with after 29 minutes. And then Callum Marshall got a goal after it deflected off Forest defender. And then Marshall added his second and West Ham's third on 78 minutes. Forest got a consolation, but it came to no avail. We're now unbeaten. The under-21s are unbeaten in 14 games total in all the competitions that they've played in, and they're second in Premier League 2. If you remember, they didn't start very well, and they kind of like a bit iffy at the beginning of the season, but what an impressive display of football from the under-21s under another ex-defender, Steve Potts. Superb. And not to be outdone, the under-18s were in action as well. Now, move over, Divin and Mubama. Make way, Callum Marshall, because there's a new kid on the block, isn't there? Get this name, Jemiah Umolu. I'm going to call him Umolu. I'm sure I've mispronounced it, but who cares? You can make up your own minds how it should be pronounced. Jemiah Umolu has been with West Ham United. He signed scholarship deal in June 2022. And he's another academy striker to look out for. Now, I've been watching highlights of the under-21s and the under-18s games. Umolu's a fucking giant. I mean, everyone else, they look like midgets compared to him on the pitch. They were playing Leicester at the weekend on Saturday. And Umolu was like up here. He was up here and everyone else is down there. And like, who's going to stop him? And he scored a hat-trick. He got his first hat-trick for the under-18s at the weekend. We smashed Leicester 5-0 at the weekend. So whatever the under-21s can do, the under-18s will go on and do one better. Another 5-star performance. I think they won 5-1 the weekend before and another 5-0 win. Absolutely smashing it. Umolu got a hat-trick. Liam Jones put the team ahead with his hit the first goal of the game, and 2 further goals in 8 minutes at the start of the second half. So saw Umolu get his hat trick before Tyrone Akpata late strike rounded off a superb win. 5-0. I mean, the under-21s and the under-18s are doing absolutely superbly. Now, West Ham United, staying on the academy, have launched the Academy of Football Alumni Program. And I'm like, what's this all about? It's a new initiative that will act as an opportunity for past academy players who represented the under-18s and the under-21s to further engage with West Ham. As part of the program, the club will also hold yearly academy alumni events, providing a chance to reconnect with past teammates, etc., etc. Now, if you're a former Hammer, God knows, who knows who watches this show? Maybe there's a former academy player watching this show. All you have to do is go to email West Ham at the academy alumni at westhamunited.co.uk to register your interest. So, yeah, there you go. Now, a bit other news, some loan news. Now, Flynn Downs, I actually hope he comes back to West Ham next season. I really do, because he was in the team that played against Cardiff at the weekend and winning 2-0. Well, they beat him 2-0. And he's doing exception. He's a pivot for Southampton in the middle of the park, and he's doing exceptionally well. Now they travel to Watford this coming weekend, and I think they're now 4th in the league in the Championship, and they're doing really, really well. And Flynn Downs is a massive pivot to that team. I think he's a good player. I think at the very, very least, comes back to West Ham and acts as a backup to Alvarez. I'd be happy with that, because Connor Coventry's not getting any game time. Other news. Nathan Trott in Denmark kept another clean sheet when they drew 0-0 with Vajil BK, drew 0-0 with Randers on Friday. Following a difficult start to the season, their 11th place Vajil have now suffered only 2 defeats in their last 9 outings, which is very good for them. And there's a small chance, perhaps, that they could stay in that league. It's quite a tough league, but well done to him as well. Other players out on loan. Mason Terry was another winner at the weekend with Concord Rangers, secured a 4-1 win over Lewis in the Ismail League Premier Division. So well done to them as well. None of our other players that are out on loan got any game time, which is a concern. Now, I know that his name's gone. Freddie Potts for Wycombe Wanderers. He's still out injured at the moment. Otherwise, he's probably the only other player that would be getting any game time out on loan. Now, headlines. You've all heard it. We now know why Kurt Zouma missed the game against Palace at the weekend, because of personal issues. And it relates to his home having been burgled on the eve of the game against Palace. Now, my understanding is that Zouma and his family were all at home. And we don't know. Apparently, the burglars were armed. And no one is got hurt in any way. But it must have shaken him up. I mean, come on. Wouldn't it shake you up if you had masked burglars breaking into your house? Now, I don't know if Zouma was confronted by them or anything like that, but he lost quite a lot of valuable, personal, sentimental items. And West Ham United, David Sullivan, had put out a £25,000 reward for any information that might lead to any successful prosecution of the burglars. But Sullivan said, first and foremost, the thoughts of everyone's connected with West Ham are with Kurt and his family. To have someone break into your home is terrifying. I hope this reward will help bring the individuals to justice. Whether that does or not, I don't know. Other news, other headlines, of course, you would have heard at the weekend that West Ham United will face Bristol City in the Emirates FA Cup third round, and we home for a change. But it would have been nice to have an away game at Bristol, to be quite honest with you. Bristol are currently 14th in the Championship. Banana skin coming. You just know it's going to happen. Now, the last time we played Bristol was in the 2013-14 season when Diafra Sakho headed and earned us a 1-0 win in the FA Cup fourth round of that competition back then. We're undefeated against Bristol City in our last 11 meetings with them, going all the way back to 1978. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? West Ham at home to Bristol City. They haven't beaten us since 1978. What could go wrong? Right, let's go back to your comments, and then I'm going to go a little bit further into the TSC and, a little bit further into the TSC and the game at the weekend. We've spoken an awful lot about it already. So, good evening to you, Tilly's Travels. I hope you're well. I'm very well, and thank you for joining. I'm rarely negative to West Ham and the players, but we need a manager with passion and flair and new ideas. Take care. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Delton, I'm a West Ham fan forever, and I have to wait for Moyes to wake up and stop fitting square pegs in round holes. We need to get up to speed sooner rather than later. You know, one thing that other managers do is if your best player is not having the best of games, you're taken off. You know, other managers aren't afraid to do that. I wonder if David Moyes is a little bit afraid to do that. Like I said earlier in the show, if I would have made a sub, I would have probably brought off Paqueta in the game and brought on an alternative for him. Who else have we got? Christopher, good evening to you, mates. Hope all is well. Route 1, tippy-tappy, low block, mix it up, but give us a bit of something to get behind, please, Moisey. Jerry, agreed. Evening still, bit late. I had to drop my West Ham mad grandson back home. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. You haven't missed much apart from Pablo Fornals has signed an extended contract. Black Country, thank you, mate. Much appreciated, and thank you for your comments as well. And I hope to see you soon again. Howard, Happy Style can't give belly rubs as he's live. Everyone else is behaving. James Fitzgerald, good evening to you, mate. From LA, 2 p.m. here on a sunny. Is it warm? Is it? Bastard. Thank you for joining, James. Much appreciated. Staying news to me. Hammerette, who's staying? When? Who? Why? Where? Ralph, Fornals staying. Maybe it's a manager he likes. Maybe he likes David Moyes. Maybe. I'm going to wind you up now, Ralph. Maybe David Moyes has said to him, Pablo, I'm in his Scottish accent. I'm not going to do a Scottish accent. Pablo, I'm staying on, mate. I want you to stay with me. Pablo's gone, all right, mate, I'll do it. Another year. Another year with you, Moisey. Mojo, 12 months extension for Pablo Hammerette. He might get 6 minutes. Christopher, Moyes seems like he's resigned to it being his final season, doing it his way until the end. And to be honest, I don't blame him. Although the football is boring for my liking. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. David Moyes, if it really is his final season, why should he bother to listen to anybody and just go ahead and do things his way? He wants to go out on a high. We won't remember in years to come that David Moyes played boring football. What we'll remember is we've won another trophy or we finished high in the league or whatever. How we got there might not be in the history books over the results themselves. So, yeah, that's a really good point. AB Sports, good evening to you from Ghana. We're solidly behind our boys, Kudus and Come On You Irons. Very nice of you to join. Katie, AB Sports, please hit the like button and please become a subscriber and let's chat. And maybe we could have you on and talk about Kudus in a show. Why not? So welcome and thank you. Ian, still, next lot of games are going to be painful. They're going to be painful because there's an awful lot coming up. You know, we're away to Fulham. We're away to Spurs. You know, what are we going to get out of those 2 games? I think we're going to beat Spurs. Of course I bloody think that because my glass is never empty. It's always half full. Bremer, so excessive focus on entertainment versus points at the moment. Wonder how people will react to a Bielsa-style manager playing well but losing. That's a good point. Leeds United, impressive to watch. Didn't win many games though, did they? You know, I'm not saying. Look, please don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating that we just got a win-win regardless. You know, of course I want to be entertained. Of course I want to come in. You know, go to a game and feel good about it. I felt good about the games earlier in the season when we beat the likes of Brighton and Chelsea and playing in the way that we did. Of course I want that, but at the same time, points are important. Keith, with hindsight, it would seem that 41 was more of an obstacle than an asset. I don't think we miss him at all. I really don't think we do. Good luck to him. But I think we are a better balanced team without him. Sai, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. I think some of the players will rush back too quickly. That's a really good point. And I said that earlier on in the show as well. You know, people saying that we didn't seem, you know, Bowen didn't seem right and Alvarez didn't seem right. I think I said earlier on, I think Alvarez probably suffered from this virus worse than most of the others. And it looked it. He was a shadow of himself on the pitch. And like someone said, he didn't get booked. So he must have been a shadow of himself. And Bowen possibly came back a little bit too soon. AB Sports to Mark. He sure is a very special player. But trust me, we have a lot of his type here, but they don't have the support to spearhead. Tell us who they are, and then we'll get Tim Steiden to come and sign them. Who else we got? Michael, good evening to you. If Numbnut stays, Kudus, Paqueta, Alvarez, and Bowen will all be gone. Bowen has just signed a long-term deal. Alvarez, Kudus. I think Kudus and Alvarez will be with us at least another season, but it all depends on what this project is. I'm dying to find out what this big project is. Hammer it. I've come to the conclusion that I've had it with Moyes, tactics and lack of ideas, total ball fest, expensive day out, freezing cold, shite travel, and I'm not enjoying it too much anymore. Come on, we'll be all right. Mate, I've emailed you. I hope you're really well. Evening to you as well. Thank you for joining. Did you get to the game? Did you get to the TSC game? Paul, those types of goals are definitely given to others. Which types of goals? I don't know. I think that second goal should have stood. I really do. I don't think Souček touched the ball, and I don't think he was in Johnston's line of vision. I really don't think he was. Ian, Stel, is the Switzerland on here? I don't understand that comment. Explain. Old man. With Zouma and a good backwards, sideways, etc., then bang it long. It's like watching old England play. Defensive coach playing two holding midfielders. Yeah, good point. Christopher, fighting at football is nuts, especially between our own fans. Totally agree. All the players are mates these days too and eat together after games. The fans should do the same. Let's scroll down. Who else we've got? Montana. I've heard of Swiss Tony, but not Swiss Tony, but not Swiss Stel. Stop typing, everyone, so Stel can catch up. How far behind am I? Fucking hell. Montana. Actually, I was the biggest Rice critic, but it was Moyes that changed because of him. At Arsenal, he's told to hold it back, and he does as told. Here, he wants to act up. This is it. Moyes allowed him to dictate what he wanted in the hope that maybe he would have stayed on at West Ham. And I think that was the wrong thing to do. I think that disrupted the way we played our football last season. Philip, for me, it's ever so predictable. I'm incredibly bored with it. I'm lucky I'm old enough to remember some great football from years back. Most certainly not particularly successful, but I was entertained. Finn, this squad is a mixture of styles. Any new manager is going to need a season or two. That I agree with. Let's scroll down. Let's get some more comments in. Clive, there's only one manager that would be available that could turn this club around and get us winning again. No, mate. People talking about don't go backwards. Oh, no, Harry's been out of football for far too long. Si, we have played Palace 11 times at home in the Premier League. 1-2, drawn 5, lost 4. We've not beaten them since 2000. I didn't know it was that long. Didn't know it was that far back. Mandy, good evening to you. We replaced Hope with £450 million worth of spending under Moyes. James, just watch Newcastle and see what a manager can do. Movement and fitness. Oh, yeah, they're playing all right. But they're not that much further up the league than us, are they? They're only a few points ahead of us. Could be wrong. Could be wrong after the weekend. Let's scroll down. Who do you have? Montana. Still, make Thursdays a fan rant and mourn show. I'll be at the game, mate. I won't be here. I won't be here on screen. I'll be at the game, and I'll see if I can put a little cheeky video while I'm there, like this one. Only going through comments, or call it the comments show. Yeah, like this one. Yeah. I've thought about that a long time. Maybe I should do 2 West Ham weeklies. One where I do news updates and one where I just do comments. Would you like me to do that? I'm happy to try. Mandy. Still, what other managers had that amount of money to spend? Well, it's all proportionate, isn't it? Now, we Pellegrini had a lot of money when he first came. All right, not the 400 million, etc. But Pellegrini had a lot of money. I think I could say that Bilic may have had quite a bit of money as well. Could be wrong. Certainly not to the 400 million. No. Adam, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. You're no problem, mate. I was on time. Well, according to others, I was 10 minutes late, but I thought I was on time. Adam, you're right, still a bit better, but still not enough. Silly mistakes. Mavropanos did, but he'll get better, in my opinion, but a little better room for improvement. See, this is what I was trying to say when I did my review of the game on Sunday evening. I wasn't saying it was great. And I know I made the comment it was end to end, but I know there was not a lot of end product to that end to end. What I meant from that was that it was the game was becoming backwards and forwards. It was like, we got it, they got it, we got it, they got it. It was becoming a bit like that. But there was not a lot of chances created, I admit. But we could have won that game. We did create some chances at the end. The Bowen header, the Emerson, the pass from Paquetá to Emerson, etc. We could have nicked it. But it was a slight improvement. I don't think it was as turgid as the games that we played against Forest, as the game we played against Burnley, and as the game against TSC. TSC was phenomenally boring. But I thought it was a better performance, but still not complete. You know, if Moyes had the courage of his convictions and made a few changes, maybe brought Cornet on or Fornals on earlier, etc., that could have changed the game, quite possibly. Obsidian. It's a sport, but you could argue Moyes violates the spirit of sport because he plays not to lose rather than win. Good point. Hammer it. We must have someone else signed as head coach then. Surely Fornals wouldn't sign otherwise. Moyes' sport, what was a great player. Really don't know. Really don't know what's going on there. Is Moyes behind it? Does that mean that Moyes is going to stay? Soon find out. Montana. Moyes has spent a lot of money for us to be contentious with the type of football the team produces. Look around the league, or better yet, look around Europe. You cannot say he's not been back. He's absolutely been back. That's for sure. And yeah, you can't argue that the board haven't spent money. They spent a hell of a lot of money. Keith, I hope you caught up with that Zouma why didn't play, but put a message lower if you missed it. Christopher, still, you should put a Zouma shirt up behind you when recording to keep the cats away. Good evening, Aquaboa. Good evening to you. Moyes should work on his tactics and the positions of Bone and Paqueta. Kudus is our future Ballon d'Or winner. Wow, could well be. Hammer it. Keith, his family home was burgled, and etc. Yeah, so hopefully you caught up with that. Andy, Fred, there were a number of players he already ruined and will ruin more if he gets his way. Moyes out. Oh, that's cruel. That's. I'm not even gonna. Rico, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Let's scroll down. Who have we got? AB Sports. Moyes should give Kudus free role and freedom to do just what he likes, just mostly like he had at Ajax, rather than constricting him for defensive tactics. In that instance, we will be scoring more goals. That's a good point. You're not going to get that under David Moyes, though, unfortunately. Keith, Stella was talking about the new TV. Oh, right. So it's 6.7 billion, is it? Goodness me. Rico, we're fighting on off the field. Much needed 3 points at Forest. You're going to be all right, mate. You are. Rico's Everton fan who joins us. Absolutely welcome, mate. Respect you for coming on. Mikey, I think we would have won it without him, to be honest. Two players decided in the end, took control late on and produced that piece of magic. Which game are you talking about now? Thank you so much, GP. I don't expect it. I don't ask for it. And I really appreciate it when it's given. So thank you, mates. I know they've all got their own, differences, haven't they? All the other channels, but really appreciate it. And thank you, GP. Really do. Delton, I saw something weird during the Burnley game. 4 times Moyes was talking to Nolan, who ignored him. Very strange indeed. Someone else said that last week as well. Andy, Fred, I watched it too after the show on Thursday to restore my sanity. How entertaining that was. Well done, Potsy. Oh, you're talking about the under-21. Sorry, I've caught up with you. Ralph, watch the under-21s on YouTube. Bloody full of energy they are. They're absolutely amazing, the under-21s. Delton, I agree we need an assertive leader on the pitch who can organise, know his old, like Brian Robson did. It is an interesting one. It's an interesting point. I wonder, we don't actually have one, do we? We don't seem to have that kind of leader on the pitch at the moment. Would people say we missed Declan Rice because of that? Juha, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. A little late after having taken a long walk. -20. And we moan here. Mate, keep warm. I hope you're well. Let's scroll down. Let's get some more comments in. Andy, still, the under-21 struggled first game 3-0 to Arsenal because most of the under-21s are in Australia on a tour. Yeah, fair enough. A good point. Good evening, Charles. Thank you for joining. I hope you're well, mate. Keith, who more youth players whose names will be butchered and mispronounced? I'm going to get it right. Umolu. That Jemiah Umolu. Melissa, good evening to you. Not confident at all against Spurs. Don't be silly. It's only Spurs at home at Spurs. But I know we'll put up a good fight against them. Exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? You know, we do shit against the likes of Palace and we'll go out there and give Spurs a run for their money and we'll beat them. Benjamin, good evening to you. Go for Ten Hag when Man United sack him still. Do you know what? That's not an altogether mad suggestion. But Ten Hag's also a defensive-minded manager, isn't he? Would you guys take Ten Hag as West Ham's manager if he gets sacked from Man United? It's a really good point. Interesting. Would you take him? Let's scroll down. Let's get a few comments in. Andrew, once Moyes discards you, there's no coming back into the fold. Downs had to go. Just got to hope there's... start again. Once Moyes discards you, there's no coming back into the fold. Downs has just got to hope there will be a new manager in place next season to get another crack of making it at West Ham. I like Flynn Downs, and I hope he does make it. I hope he does come back. Andrew, dreading Spurs on Thursday. I fear we may be on the end of a tonking. No. Fill that glass up. Come on, fill that glass up. It's got to be half full, not half empty. Moyes could put off the Spurs players by running around in a latex suit. West Ham players may be used to it. Delton, maybe Fornals signs contract to give West Ham funds instead of nothing for free. Maybe Fornals signs a contract to give West Ham funds instead of nothing for free. Didn't understand that comment. My apologies. Lee, I agree, Andrew. I think they'll score 6. Oh, please, people. Sigh. I'm knowing West Ham will beat the Spuds, then lose to Fulham. That's what I said, mate. You know, that's kind of what could possibly happen. We'll beat Spurs and then Fulham of Tonkas. Fred, if we're not in it from the first minute, the Spuds will do us bad. And if it's still close at half time, don't let Moyes near the dressing room. Matthew, we're stuck with Moyes and Moyes ball until we find the right replacement. We can't risk a bad managerial recruitment decision. Good point. Good point. Let's scroll down. I'm catching up. I am actually catching up. Do forgive me. I'm going to have to skip a few comments. AB. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. Saw your channel today. Already a subscriber. Do what AB Sports do. If you haven't yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Jerry. Thank you, AB, by the way. Jerry, West Ham are the Rocky of football. They get punched and knocked around and manage to find a killer punch. Is Tim our Adrian? Sorry if you know. I understand it, mate. I understand it. Well, Tim started. We called it Adrian at the side of the stand. If we beat them, Chris, Switzerland neutral country. Oh, is that what you mean when you say I'm like Switzerland? I get it. Thank you. GP, we want the success of Moyes, but with the football of Bilic. Dakavi. Yeah, I got to the CSC game. I was plastered, but I met great people. Had an amazing time. Shout out Loman Lux. So you got, oh mate, I'm so glad it all got sorted. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it, but I'm glad you had a good time. And Colin's a decent chap, isn't he? Nice fella, isn't he? Jerry, as a park referee, that goal would have stood. There's shades of grey, I'll admit, but Soucek was quite away from the ball. It's the fact that he went, but even if he went for it, that shouldn't, he didn't touch it. And so, and I think it should have stood, to be quite honest with you. Bill, I believe I know what the big project is. Everything is linked from academy to first team, but ultimately it's a business project. Otherwise, the shareholders wouldn't buy into it. I think I know what you're alluding to, and I agree with it. There's going to come a time, a bit like, I think I've said this before in other shows. Chelsea have got it. Man City have got it, where they make really good money out of the academy, where they keep the creme de la creme for themselves. On occasion, they have to sell one, like a Cole Palmer, for example, Man City to Chelsea. But in general, I think what's going to happen is West Ham United's academy is going to become a bit of a business, self-financing business and bringing in a bit of cash in, if that's what you're alluding to. But then we'll keep the creme de la creme and pull them through into the senior team. And I don't disagree with that. I know people ain't going to like it. That's probably how that's going to go. Lord Patrick, good evening to you. It's late. What's happened? Fornals has signed a 1-year extension, mate. That's all you need to know. 12 months extension, Trodge. Yeah, not fishy. Actually, fact. I like Fornals, but he is slow. Well, in the position that he plays, if you put him as left wing back, as left winger or left wing back, he's going to be slow. Put him in the middle, and I quite like him. Thank you, Ian. Much appreciated. Thank you for that. Andrew, our attacks are so predictable, either down the flanks or long ball for Bowen to run onto. Never try and play through the middle. Well, We do, but we're no good at it. This is the thing that I was saying earlier on in the show. If we can't get through by playing it through the middle, then get it out wide. I'm not advocating the long ball all the time, but mix it up a little bit. Play the diagonal ball. It works for us. It certainly does. Epic. Fornals' contract was extended so the club can sell him and not lose him on a free. That's a really good point, actually, Epic. Didn't think of that. That could be it, but I don't think Fornals would have agreed to that if he knew being sold was on the horizon, to be honest. But yeah, good point. Monumental. Would the under-21s manager take over after Moyes? Southgate did. Then we'd have the youngsters play first team. Good point. Would Steve Potts want to become the senior team manager? I don't know. Good point. Good question. Trudge. The solution to our games over Christmas is to get Paqueta the latest tech in thermal underwear. So he doesn't. Well, I'm really 50-50 with Paqueta at the moment. I love him. I know he can pull a rabbit out of the hat, but there are times when I got frustrated with him at the weekend when he was sort of like went down on the ground again, for nothing. Howard, what about Moyes? One more year with Potsy as assistant? I did actually ask, didn't I, when we were all talking about Will Still, would you accept Will Still coming in as assistant manager with David Moyes managing? And everyone went, no way. So I'm guessing people are going to feel the same about this as well. Lord Patrick, given that we play in a bowl, what stand should the statue to Moyes be outside of? Best manager in our history. Clive, still, you should pre-record the news items and play them as videos during the Monday Madness. Now, that's not a bad idea as well. Could do that. Yeah, that's a thought. No to Ten Hag. Keith, Ten Hag would know how to get the best out of his old, of course, ex-Ajax manager. But here's the thing. Was it Kudus or was it Alvarez he didn't play? It was one of those two. I think it might have been Kudus. He didn't fancy him, did he? That'd be interesting. Old man, prefer Ben and Jerry's to Ten Hag. Daniel, good evening to you. Kudus will be one of the best players in the world. That's why he's playing for West Ham. David Moyes will turn him into one of the best players in the world. Andrew, I don't know what Moyes says to them at halftime. He must depress them into submission instead of instructing them to press them into submission. It's a good point. We always come out and seem to be a bit lackluster in the second half, don't we? Brendan, isn't it last year's under-21 manager now on the bench? It is. And I'm not a big fan of his either. He must not be listened to. I cannot see David Moyes listening to Potts either. The interesting thing is, I don't think, what's his name? His name's gone. Someone remind me of the ex under 21s man. Mark. Damn it. Anyway, I don't think he did that well with the under 21s because prior to him, the previous under 21s manager did really, really well with the development team. Then Mark, I'm going to say, I can't remember his name. But anyway, whoever it was came in. I don't think he did that well. Since Steve Potts has taken over, they've been flying again. So I'm not so sure about that. Oh, God, he's an ex-West Ham player as well. Philip, Paqueta is my choice for captain. Probably a surprise choice, but it would get the others going, even if they can't understand his Portuguese. I don't know. I'm not so sure I agree with that, to be honest, Philip. Hamret, did you hear Moyes say it's not like we eat pies at half time? Bless the Scott, he's part Cockney. Well, I don't know what's going on at half time, but we come out as a completely different team and people are right. We seem to sort of be like slower in the second half. Trudge, captains don't lay on the floor when they're on the attack. Good point. Delton, if Fornals goes for free, West Ham gets nothing, so maybe that's why I signed. Yeah, it's just been mentioned. Could be, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out in the summer, won't we? If he goes and be sold. Trudge, if Fornals has had a newborn, then wouldn't it make sense for him to still stay until baby's older anyways? Yeah, good points. Andrew, Fornals has been ruined just like Allaire and Scamacca. I don't like that Fornals has been played out wide. I kind of agree with that. Bill, baby Fornals could play for England and Spain if daddy stays. There you go. Let's scroll down. I'm down to the... Oh, no, I'm not. I thought I was. Got excited there. Montana. Ten Hag didn't fancy it. I thought it was Kudus. He is just a better version of Moyes. Keep away from that man. Hamret, Stelios, wish you could do a show every other day. I'd be dead. I'm gasping for a bit of water. I'm going to put a video on in a minute for a few seconds so I can have some water. Dexter, good shout, Stel. Your content, thank you very much. Maybe do similar live shows week, possibly. Well, I do the Monday weekly every Monday, but I don't know if I could do 2 live shows. I'm desperately trying to get the Friday nights back as well. But good shout. You can maybe do 2 similar live shows a week. 2 similar live shows a week. I'll try. I'll give it some thought. And then when I tell the missus and she tells me she's moving out, then I might get rid of that idea. Stell is like a fine wine. You don't open it every day. I'm down at the bottom. We missed a trick with Emery. He got Villa playing great football, treated harshly at Arsenal, proving now he's a top manager. It's a good point. Right, I'm going to go into a little break and I'll be back after this. Where is it? There you go. Now, we've talked about the games already, but let's just do a recap, shall we? Because first off, last Thursday's game against TSC. Now, that, I admit, was an absolute bore fest. It was an awful game to watch. For those who went, and well done to you for getting a ticket and going there. When you go to away games, it's actually more about the journey. It's more about the camaraderie than the actual game itself sometimes. But when you looked at the team, now here's the rub now. And I kind of said it in the review. Like when David Moyes picks a team that isn't full of the regulars, people complain that he doesn't pick the strongest team. And then when he doesn't pick squad players, people complain that he doesn't utilize the squad better. So here in this lineup, you had the likes of Johnson, Mavropanos, Creswell, Fornals, Benrahma, and Mubama started the game. Now, in all honesty, that should have been more than enough for West Ham United to not necessarily tonk TSC, but to certainly beat them convincingly. And it wasn't that sort of game. Now, people said, well, Mubama didn't get the service that he needed in order to to demonstrate how good he could be, etc. And the one thing I know, and that's true, but what I wanted from Mubama was a similar sort of game to the way he played in the half hour against Burnley last weekend. I wanted him to go and close the defenders down, and he didn't do a lot of that. He was kind of like keeping a zonal position, which I didn't like. Now, that may have been instructions. Yeah, quite possibly. But the one thing that I realized, probably, I think a lot of us knew, and I probably knew about it for a long time, was our severe lack of pace in the team at times, especially when you've got the likes of Kudus out, and Bowen out, and Antonio out, etc. All of a sudden, you find that you've got a severe lack of pace. Now, what made it good for me, for us, was the fact that Maxwell Cornet came on because he could provide that pace and he actually made a difference in the game. And I thought that David Moyes, after seeing what Cornet did in that game, I thought, well, maybe this is the catalyst for David Moyes to start thinking about using Cornet a bit more. So was I surprised that Cornet didn't even get 5 minutes on the pitch against Crystal Palace? Yes, I was. And now, is this going back to what I said before about looking after Cornet because of the concern over the injury that he had? Can he actually play more than 20 minutes every other game? I don't know is the answer, because that was the information I was given back in the summer. The information I was given was West Ham are concerned about the injury that Maxwell Cornet had. They're trying to manage him properly, try not to overplay him. But, there comes not overplaying and not playing at all. And getting 20 minutes every 4 or 5 games seems a little bit odd. The game on Sunday, a bit like the game against TSC, was screaming out for something different. And I think Cornet could have made that difference, but not with only 5 minutes to go in the same way that Fornals came on, but give him 10, 15, 20 minutes. Isn't it ironic that in the game against Burnley, when David Moyes made changes with half an hour to go, they were effective? You know, Mabama came on with half an hour to go. He was closing, like I said earlier, the defence down, etc. He was making a difference. Cornet coming on with about 20 minutes to go against TSC was making a difference. So why did David Moyes not do that against Crystal Palace at the weekend? That baffles me. And I think, understandably so, that really annoys West Ham fans. Because if David Moyes had brought Cornet on, or even Fornals on, with maybe 20 minutes to go to try and affect the game in some way, people would have gone, well, all right, mate, all right, it was a shit game, but at least you tried something. But bringing Fornals on for just 5 minutes at the end of the game didn't really make a lot of sense at all. Now, interestingly, Fornals almost did change the game with his cross and all that. You know, I think it was his cross to into Bowen at the end of the game. So given that Moyes saw for himself against Burnley, against TSC, that bringing subs on, you know, with a bit more time than just 5 minutes could actually make a change, why on earth did he not do that against Palace at the weekend? So, look, to be honest, now we've got it all to do. I mean, look, we got a win against TSC. It was absolutely vital that we did because now, I mean, Freiburg are flying at the moment. They've scored 17 goals in 5 games that they played in this group stage, and conceded only 5. We've only scored 8 and conceded 4. And the only reason why we're above them, as I said last week, is because it's based on head-to-head, because we beat them earlier on in the group stage. So we're above them just on that alone. 12 points each. All we need is a draw to actually win the group. And then that will get us through to the playoffs the knockout stages, in March. That will take us straight through. If Freiburg beat us, of course, we've qualified already for the next stages anyway. But if Freiburg beat us, we've got an extra 2 games coming up, which will be in February against a Champions League team that drops down. People are saying we're looking forward to playing PSG as an example. So we really want to avoid that. And it worries me slightly how David Moyes is going to approach this game against Freiburg the week after next. Because if he tries to defend a draw, a 0-0, that worries me. Freiburg looked good when we played them in the second half. They made changes. And the reason why we conceded a goal was because they came at us down the wings. Doan, the Japanese winger, came on and made a change in the game, and they could have won that game. You know, they put us on the back foot, and they're gonna go for it. Freiburg, they're gonna be up for it. They've got nothing to lose. They've already qualified as well. You know, whether they play in the knockout in a playoff in February or not is irrelevant to them. They're going to absolutely go for it, you know, and this is what's going to concern me slightly as to what will David Moyes do in the game against Freiburg, because if he goes out defensive, I worry, you know, and we could suffer for that. So I want to see, I don't want to open us up. Of course not. I'm not advocating to completely open us up and let them run right through us, but I want to have a go at them. And it's going to be really interesting to see what players David Moyes picks in that game, because you know, it's going to be amongst all the games that we've got around us at that time, leading up to Christmas, etc. You know, we've got a big schedule ahead of us, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see what David Moyes does with a team selection against Freiburg on Thursday week. But I really hope, you know, he doesn't go out there to try and defend a draw, because I worry that quite possibly doing that is going to we could suffer for it. So And then it came to the weekend, and we played against Crystal Palace, and the lineup. I was pleased to see a lot of players who had viruses or injuries, etc., coming back. Soufal, Alvarez, and Kudus all had viruses, and they're all back. And of course, we know Jared Bowen had the knee. He had the minor surgery on his knee to drain fluid. Now, as I think Sai said earlier on, it's quite possible one or two of these players came back too soon. Alvarez didn't look right. Bowen was trying, he always tries, but didn't look right either. And I just wonder if Moyes had the courage of his convictions to start playing a few other players who are on the bench, then maybe, these players have got something to prove. Cornet's got something to prove. Fornals got something to prove. Now, I say straight away what I said after the game against TSC, that how many chances do some of these players need? Because I think some of these players didn't put in performances. Fornals didn't put in a performance. Benrahma didn't put in a performance against TSC. And so, sometimes you've got to take your chances when you're offered them. But thank goodness for Kudus coming back, because the way we scored that goal. Now, I said earlier on about playing the diagonal ball, sometimes go route one, etc. Look, that pass from James Ward-Prowse in our own half across to Soufal, who then passed it into Kudus to score, route one. But it was effective. It was good to see. It was actually a really, really good move by West Ham United. We picked it up deep. We were on the front foot. Why don't we do more of that? This is what I don't understand. And that's what I was alluding to earlier on in the show. Why don't we do more of that? If we can't play through a team, then go route one, because it can be effective. And it was a great strike. Absolutely great strike. And I still think that even though we didn't play well, it was better than what we had against TSC, etc., etc. And I said, as we said earlier, I think the second goal, or the disallowed goal, I think that should have stood. I think we had a couple of chances at the end. That great ball from Paqueta into Emerson. If he got under that, he might have smashed it in. The ball to Bowen. We did have chances, to win the game, but it's always leaving it a little bit too late. And then the incident at the end where we're in Bobby Moore lower, and we saw it quite clearly. It looked like a handball from a defender. I thought VAR would have called for it. Didn't happen. So I think we had signs of showing that we could do better, or certainly the game that we played was a lot better, and I think what we're getting at the moment is the right results, but not necessarily the right performances. I think we've won our last few games since the defeat to Everton. We've won 5. We've lost just 1 against Brentford, when we should have won that game as well. Do you remember, Antonio, getting in Benrahma's way, where we could have wrapped it up in the first half or in the second half? So since the Everton defeat, we've won 5, we've lost 1, and we've drawn 1 to Palace. Now, I agree the performances are not great, okay? But the results are. And this is the conundrum. This is the catch-22 of West Ham United at the moment. If we were losing all these games and playing badly, I'd be with you. Moyes out. But at the moment, the reason why I'm on the fence is because we're getting the results. Do I want to see better performances? Yes. Do I want to see better use of our substitutes? Absolutely. Do I want to see a better use of our squad? Absolutely. Do I want to see a change in our tactics when trying to play through isn't working? So instead of passing it backwards, sideways, etc., when needed, when appropriate, do a route one. I don't mind that, because if it's going to give us a goal like it did against Palace, or like the goals that we scored against Brighton earlier in the season, etc., then I'll take it. I'm not advocating it all the time, but if we can't play through them, put it over diagonally. And that's so the review of those 2 games. Yeah, I think the performance against TSC was tragic. It was exceptionally poor. It really, really was. But then when I looked at the way we played against Palace, it was better. It was an improvement. Now, what worries me, and I said this in the TSC review, what worries me is, do we always need Kudus and Bowen and Alvarez and players like that in the team in order to get a better performance? Because the players that we had on the pitch against TSC should have been more than enough to win and win handsomely. And that was a disappointment. Right. That was it. It was just my last words on that. Let's scroll down. So who else have we got? How far behind am I? It's now 10, not too far. Martin, love the Friday night show. I'm going to desperately try and get them back on track again. I really am. Hamret, I'd love to see Emerson with the armband. Look at how he is in control. Wish we could have a carbon copy on the right-hand side. He's really impressed me, to be quite honest with you. I never thought Emerson would be as good as he's turned out to be. Trodge, if we had Prime, Ogbonna and Dawson as centre-backs, we would be top 5. Good point. Yeah. Good point. Dexter, for the games this week, I think of the dynamics of playing away from home will allow us to play more attacking, especially with the counter. Yeah, I agree. All the middle licking spuds you've stopped halfway. We're only 6 points behind the spuds. Thought they won the league in September. Yeah, did say back then. Jerry, Stell's like Iron Brew. You don't open it all at all. Trodge. Also noticed we have a new move. We added to open play, worked it around really slowly, then give it to a girl to play the long ball. I guess that's what I'm kind of alluding to. It's like, I don't mind sideway passes, but then so long as there's a killer pass at the end of it, either through a Gerd or through Ward-Prowse or whoever, we get on the end of it and then be on the front foot, fine. Mojo. Benny is a shadow. Expected to see Kehrer, to be honest. Johnson was a surprise. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. When I predicted the team lineup against TSC, the only ones I got wrong were the fullbacks. I expected Kehrer to be playing, and I also expected Emerson to actually start, even though I know we needed him at the weekend. And then I suggested that maybe the reason why Kehrer didn't play was because Soufal might not have made the game against Palace. And it's only Soufal got, because he had a virus, that I thought maybe he was being kept. Kehrer was being kept fresh. Not so. So something's going on with Kehrer as well, isn't it? Ray, instead of a halftime team talk, Moyes sings 500 miles. Lord Patrick, have we spoken about the variation in the shirt sponsorship? Yeah, that is another Betway shirt, but apparently it's not a betting shirt. It's not a betting channel. It's part of the subsidiary of Betway, but apparently UEFA don't allow betting on shirts. So that was a subsidiary of Betway, which is not, apparently it gives scores or something without you betting. Let's scroll down. Bill, there you go. UEFA betting rules. Betway simply used one of their other companies. Bang. Clive. Cornet on the left is surely a no-brainer. Bone on the right. Paqueta behind. Kudus up front. I think it could work. GP. If Moyes went to a back three, we could have Cornet on the left. Yeah, that's a good point. But would you then say that he's being too defensive-minded playing a back three? Andrew, we have so much dead wood. Major reconstruction needed. Antonio, Johnson, Ogbonna, Benrahma, Ings, Cornet, Fornals, Soufal, who I would like, but is just too slow. Well, Fornals, as I said tonight, has signed a new contract, so he'll be staying. I agree with you, Antonio. He's signing a new contract, so he's probably not going anywhere. Johnson, I don't understand, but yeah, probably he's going to leave. Well, Johnson, another player that is coming to the end of his contract. Ogbonna is as well. Will we hear over the next few weeks that they've signed extended contracts as well? I love Ogbonna, but I think his time is finished at West Ham. Johnson, don't know. Benrahma, wouldn't be surprised if he was sold. Ings, as I said in other shows, we did try to move him on in the summer, but there were no takers. Cornet, I want Cornet to stay, to be quite honest with you. Chris, I think it's because teams are stopping betting company. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. Old man. Problem having Kudus up front is long ball from the back, unless Paqueta and Kudus are playing as a two. Yeah, that could possibly work. Give them support, and it could be completely different. But then you'd argue anyone playing up front, if they got support up front, would look completely different. Andrew, I haven't seen anything from Cornet to suggest it will be a success. I think shades of Cornet. I think what I saw on Thursday against TSC suggested to me that he still probably got something in his locker to be able to offer us something different. Mojo, we got him this season anyway, so why not utilize him when we need that width and we need a bit of pace? Mojo, Freiburg have been scoring for fun, which is a concern. Exactly. Bill, do you watch them train, Andrew? Only way you're going to see him. What was that about Cornet? Lord Patrick, if we get through to the last 16 still, our game will be against the Champions League team anyway, because they'll probably be getting through the previous round. I don't think that's right. I might be wrong. Yeah, well, it could be. Yeah, no, that's true. We could be drawn against a Champions. Yeah. You're right. I guess what I'm saying is we don't want those extra 2 games, though, do we? Hamret. Mav's mistake was a costly one, especially after the own goal recently too, but we're not seeing the best of him yet. Bloke can reach about 12 foot when he leaps. Yeah, I felt sorry for him. You know, you get an opportunity to play a game and then you make that mistake. It must be so frustrating for him. Troj, Mavropanos and Agert are both nervous centre backs. I'm not so sure. I think play them together for a while and see what happens. I think they could forge a decent partnership. Dexter, what's your thoughts on who our next manager will be? I think we've come to the conclusion Moyes will be gone in the summer. I genuinely don't know, to be honest with you. The reason why I don't know, and I've got no thoughts about it, is because Tim Steidten could go many different angles. You know, there's so much talk about the same managers being mentioned, Will Still, Alonso, and managers like that. I think it's quite possible. I'm going to look into, because I don't know what who Alonso was managing before Bayer Leverkusen. So I'm going to look into that, which might give me an insight as to what Tim Steidten might do. Because if I think it was Alonso's first managerial role, I could be wrong, and that, you know, by understanding his pathway to management might give me an insight as to where Steidten might go. Do I have a thought as to who I'd like? I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think we're going to get a younger manager, a more vibrant manager, without a doubt. But it's got to be someone that's got to hit the ground running in the Premier League. And I'm not so sure how many young managers could come in and do that. Brendan, Scaloni next manager. There was a room that might stand down as the Argentina manager. Interesting. I don't know. Interesting. Good, interesting shout, but I don't know. Thank you, Lee. Thank you for supporting the channel as always, mate. I wish you good night. Andrew, I hope Cornet proves me wrong. He obviously has talent, but he needs to take his chance like he did for the assist. He needs to learn how to stay on side. Absolutely. Oh, man. What about the Bowen volley? I'd have bet my house on him smashing that. Looked like he was feeling himself in it. I don't know that Bowen was 100%. Bill, next coach may be Rafael Marquez from Barcelona. What about, interesting, I don't know much about him, but good shout. What about Silva from Fulham? Would you want him as an example? Lord Patrick, my first wife used to tell me she could do the splits. Personally, I think that was stretch. Andrew, we could have easily lost those games still. Fine margins. Moyes has been fortunate. Agreed. If we lose against Spuds, we're stuck in mid-table. If we win against them, we're only 3 points behind them. Half glass full. Oh man, I'm getting pissed with Paqueta's antics. He'd be amazing. He'd be amazing with none of that. But be at another level club if he did. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. It's getting a little bit frustrating on Sunday. Chris, Friday night show, we'll be getting some of those people on this chat as guests. Would be a good. I've done that before, so okay. Let me get off my arse and get that moving. I promise. We should get OnlyFans as a sponsor. OnlyFans, what is? I don't know what that is. I should know, but I don't know what it is. Give me their details. I'll contact them. Mark. Hey, Stone, everyone. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. How's Lanzini doing these days? We could use another late thriller on Thursday. Memories. I don't know how he's getting on back in Argentina, to be honest with you. Be interesting to find out. But yeah, Who knows? It might happen. Cornet may come on and score the winner instead. Andrew, hopefully the Saudis will offer 30 million for Benny. I think Benny's probably on his way out. I do now. He didn't even get a sniff at the weekend when we needed something different. Yeah. I would have loved if we'd have got Willian. He's got to admit, I think he's done great, hasn't he? I thought his time was over. Howard, Silva is getting a tune out of him. Delton, I agree. Mavropanos and Agurd are not assertive together. They need a leader to talk to them. Good point. Richard, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. If a miracle did happen and we qualified for Champions League, does Moyes get another crack at it? Well, let's be honest. If David Moyes got us to the Champions League, are you really going to then say farewell, adieu, goodbye? I don't know. I mean, if he actually got us to the Champions League, you've got to say that he would absolutely deserve to stay on as manager, wouldn't he? It's a weird one. Hammerit, we haven't got a great team, in my opinion, in my honest opinion. We have a few very good players. A few could be more. And I think we're about 3 or 4 short of having a very good squad, to be honest. Howard, Gio would be right up for us still only fans. I didn't understand that either. GP. Yeah, I'm happy to bring fans on and have a chat. Joe, good evening to you, mate. I've seen United Stand do like a fan forum where they get fans on form from the channel, and then they can have their say, maybe a look at it. I've done it before. Okay, I'm going to commit to it. I'll do it. I'm not going to say it's going to be this Friday, but I will commit to it. I've done it before, and I did it once or twice, and it actually worked really well. So yes, okay, I'm going to commit to it. There you go. Oh my God, can you imagine Moyes setting us up for the Champions League? I don't know. You tell me. Mojo, didn't Alonso manage Real Sociedad kids before Bayer Leverkusen? Could have been. Yes, you're probably right. Oh man, Moyes getting Champions League, more likely my missus agreeing with me. Andrew, Paqueta pulled his self-indulgent stunts under Pep. He would have been exiled at Man City. I really like Paqueta, but he's taking the piss in games. I agree. OnlyFans, proper viewing. What is OnlyFans? I should know, shouldn't I? But I clearly don't. See, I fall for it all the time. Troj, hopefully Stel will provide some new photos for it. I've now understood. Thank you, Clive, for you absolute dicks. I got it now. It's you know what I'm like. I'm old. I don't know what OnlyFans. What I do now. I actually do now. Delton, if Moyes got us to the Champions League, give him 1 year extension. See if he has what it takes. Unless new manager already agreed. I know. Thank you very much. I'll be kicking myself when I check it. I know what it is. That's it. I'm stopping there. Last comment. Make every Friday call show. We can call, talk about things, and express our opinions on them. See, what I'm trying to do. By the way, those who have given me a bit of money on PayPal, I really appreciate that, because I'm trying to get enough money to buy the unit that does call-ins, because I know that's quite successful, but I need equipment. I need equipment to do that, and so I will try and save up for it and do it. But I will try and do call-ins. But in the meantime, I'll get fans on, and we can have a chin wag. I'm stopping. I've done 2 hours. You've got your 2 hours now. Go on, get lost, all of you. Oh man, it's not the dribbling around the box. I know, Howard. Thank you very much. Dexter, yeah, you like taking the piss. Sorry, my timing's been terrible. Your timing's absolutely fine, mate. Just like our clean sheets record this season on the iPad. Chris, you're giving me a great laugh tonight. I'm pleased I have. That's what it's about. It's about, chatting, having a chin wag, having a laugh, taking the fucking piss out of me. You absolute bastards. But there you go. Andrew, I don't think City will come back for him. His self-indulgent antics would not be impressed. I don't think they will either. Right, I'm done. Thank you all very much, people. Have a wonderful week. I'll be at Spurs on Thursday. I will try and do AB Sports. Gotta go. It's almost 12. Nice show. You hit that button and you will know when I'm next on. Have a great week. I'll be at Spurs on Thursday. What I'll try and do, I don't know if I can do one from the stadium because they try and chuck you out pretty quickly. So I'll try and do something either on the way home or whatever. But thank you all for watching, as usual. Thank you all for getting involved, as usual. Really, really much appreciated. Have a great week. Let's not forget, we're only going to be 3 points behind Spurs when we beat them on Thursday. That's the way you got to think. Have a great week, everyone.